Welcome back to Hot Takes, the show for busy people who love motorcycles. Cycle World got to ride the new Tiger 1200. It was just redesigned completely 2 years ago, so there's not a lot of big differences that you're going to see. However, they did redesign the engine with some heavier parts to increase the rotating mass and make things a lot more smooth at low RPMs, and also take out some annoying vibration between 5,000 and 6,000 RPMs. The riders did not get to ride it off-road. However, they said that since it's smoother at low speeds, easier to handle, it should be better off-road. They installed active preload reduction. And that's just a fancy word for electronic lowering of the rear of the bike. So you hold down a button that's on the bar and the bike lowers about 20 millimeters, which is about 3/4 of an inch. Not a lot, but the bike weighs between 564 and 578 pounds, and it's quite top heavy. So when you're at a stop, it's pretty difficult to handle. So I'm sure riders will appreciate that lowering. It's also been available on a lot of other competitors' models. Cycle World also got to ride the MV Agusta Enduro Veloce on and off-road. On-road, they said it was very fast, very exciting, and really, really fun. Off-road, it was a little less exciting. It was not as off-road capable as a Desert X, which would be one of its direct competitors. They also say that the Enduro Veloce also doesn't feel that at home. It does seem like it's on par with the bigger 1290 Adventure and bikes of that nature. Will not keep up with a Desert X or twin-cylinder bikes in the midsize category. Various journalists have been riding the Ducati Hypermotard Mono 698, and it has 77 horsepower. It's basically half of a 1299 Panigale. To that end, it's rev happy, it's over square design, and it's a hoot in the twisties. Not surprising because Ducati makes really fun on-road bikes. With a $13,000 to $15,000 price tag, it comes with a lot of electronics and toys to go along with that, which is also not surprising. Quartararo re-signs with Yamaha for another 2 years, which honestly was a surprise because he's been pretty unhappy ever since he lost his 92-point lead in 2022 to Bagnaia.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
He's been pretty frustrated with the Yamaha, so he's been looking around, and Aprilia made him an offer. And he said, "Show me the money!" And they said, $4
million.
Which sounds like a lot of money to a lot of riders.
Don't you think we should maybe ask for more than $1 million? $1 million isn't exactly a lot of money these days.
However, Yamaha countered with 12 million euros per year. And that's a lot of change. Is Quartararo a sellout? Maybe. 8 million reasons is a lot of reasons to re-sign. But maybe it's more complicated than that. He probably figures it's going to take most of a year to get up to speed on a new style of bike. And then in 2027, they're going to do a rule change. And maybe he hopes that that's going to level the playing field and Yamaha is going to be back in contention. They are showing that they are very committed to racing in MotoGP. And number one, they're offering him quite a lot of money to ride for them. Number two, they're looking to get 2 more bikes on the grid and go back to 4 bikes like they were before. They've been making some offers and pushing around in the garage, and we can tell that they've been talking to Pramac and they've been talking to Gresini. It seems like they're quite close to a deal with Gresini. So if they're willing to put that kind of money and that kind of power behind it, they are probably ready to get back to racing at the front. And that is good news for Quartararo because that's exactly where he wants to be. A lot of us fans were hoping that he would go give Aprilia a try. as Vinales has shown that it's capable of being very, very fast. More on that later. We've had 2 exciting rounds of MotoGP racing. At COTA, Vinales took the sprint race win and the race win. And it was exciting. It was well fought. He's the first person to win MotoGP races on 3 different bikes: the Suzuki, the Yamaha, and the Aprilia. His talent is undeniable. However, his consistency leaves something to be desired. But at COTA, he was nothing but consistent. He got pushed back to 11th place, and he fought his way to the front. He had very consistent speed. Pedro Acosta took another podium at COTA, making him back-to-back podiums and making him one of the youngest riders to ever win back-to-back podiums. And sending a message to the whole field that he is going to be a contender in MotoGP for a while. At Jerez, the sprint race on Saturday was a tricky race because there were wet patches on the track, and Marc Marquez crashed out of the lead shortly after taking the lead. A lot of other top riders crashed out, but Pedro Acosta stayed on his bike and got second place in the sprint race. Quartararo, he placed third, but then afterward they checked his tire pressure monitoring system, and his tire pressure had gone too low for too much of the race, and so he was demoted. And Danny Pedrosa, of all people, a wild card, took third place in the sprint race. Sunday's race was exciting. Bagnaia and Martin were very fast. Martin got out in front, and Bagnaia chased him down and put pressure on him until he pushed too hard and fell. Then Bagnaia stayed out front until the last few laps when Marc caught up to him and put a pass on him. It was a good fight for a couple of laps there, but in the end, Marc didn't quite have the tire to win. However, it shows that he still has heart, he still has speed, and he's ready to get as many points as possible. Speaking of points, the championship is very close now. Bagnaia has closed down to only 17 points away from Martin, and only 33 points down is Binder in 7th place. 7 riders within 33 points. This is a close championship, one to watch. Jerez is a tricky racetrack, and it has basically one line in a lot of the racetrack. And so you see some very sketchy overtakes. There was a lot of riders knocked off, a lot of angry riders. Zarco was one of them. Joan Mir was one of them. And some of them have a legit reason to be angry. Some of them don't. However, it's just the nature of the racetrack. There really is very difficult to make an overtake that is clean. And a lot of the overtakes are going to be on the edge of clean or not clean at all. And that's what we saw. But one thing about it, when we saw Marc and Bagnaia tangling, they were hard on each other, but they were respectful. We didn't see them barging each other out of the way. I think they learned a little something from 2 races ago when they ended up sliding into the gravel trap and both getting 0 points.
Has gone down. Oh, unbelievable. Pecco Bagnaia was not going to give that one up without an almighty fight.
Thanks for watching Hot Takes, the motorcycle show for busy people who love motorcycles. Subscribe, and we'll have plenty more coming for you in the future.